Okay. So,
Because I'm still a beginner in all of this,
okay.
and the topic you just explained, I don't really get the.
Okay. So, actually, that is very important to explain deeper in the more broad sense. So, my research is about Buddhist psychology, and Buddhist psychology is yet to be a discipline in the Western academic.
Okay.
In the university, if you ask for Buddhist psychology, you will not find anything. Okay, so where does it fit into the Western discipline, university's discipline? It's either in a religious studies or Tibetan studies or in the divinity studies and these kind of things. So why it is called Buddhist psychology is because from Buddhist point of view, it discusses about mind and the mental events and the functionings of the minds. Therefore, it is called psychology. And it is actually that the Buddhist psychology as a subject of study was recognized by early British scholars like T.W. S. Davis in the 19th centuries. So since then, it was an evolving topic, and now
Tamjin Chimbo Loin Chan Soi Loin Den Rai Sanjin Chom Den 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 Ne Tishin Shen Boin Da Chom Boin Yang Da Boin Zog Be Sanje Rik Boin Dan Shab Zuen Den Boin Dev Rai She Boin Ji Den Kim Kiwen Dulwen Kaluen Jirboy La Naim Me Boy La Daim Me Naim Jen Den Boy Sanje Chom Den De Zoi Tishin She Boy So Naim Da Gen Ju Den Boy Gewe Wan Nam Chu Me So Wan Se Boy Da Ge Rab Doi Jen Boy So Nam Je Der Nam Je Benje Sang Boy Nam Je De Boy Ten Nam Je Me Doi Je Chiyo Reng Brain Tum Boy Tonai Mi Tim Boy Me Boy Tebe Me Boy Nam Lai Ngam Brain Gawai Sherai Zil Je Min Ton Nam Lai Ziwai Me Boy Sim Jen Tam Je Je Dem Boy Chanjo Sim Boy Nam Je Ya Po Be Kansai Nam Gen Ja Boy Nyang Yen Lend Chongjiren Doi Do Wai Nam Ge De Ben Ishe Ba Doi Me Boy Bo Boy Sam Je Mi Jai Boy Song Nam Brai Da Boy Yang Nim Ku Jen Da Cho Mi She Boy Ku Song Boy Me Boy De Boy Da Ge Ma Ge Boy Su Da Ge Nye Rai Ma Ge Boy Su Me Boy Da Dai Ma Dengan dale nambrain doain pungboin dale rabdoin nambrain doain kamnam da midem bain cheje nam dambain dibain nam shindoi jib yazoin doain dale nambrain doa sibalen dolwai chuelen galwai ishe yazoin zobain teba dam majem Sanje Jomden Namge Ishe La Neba Nyangen Len Deba La Mine Ba Yanda Ba Nijen Tala Neba Simjen Tamje La Zigbe Salai Shukba De Tedan Sanje Jomden Dege Gujewe Yunde Yanda Ba Naim Soin Tambe Chenen Tomrai Pardo Tamra Inge Wan Den Sambo Tsido Sambo Made Ba Yonso Zoba Yonso Dagba Yonso Chomden Dege Chelek Bra Sonwa Yanda Ba Tonwa Neme Ba Tiche Ba Me Ba Nyevra Entomba Te Tonwa La Tenye Keba Namge Suzo Range Rigbra Jawa Chomden Dege Sunwen Chundulwa Lekbra Demba Nyebra Jong Zobe Changjun Don Dorai Jeba, Mitemba, Mijan, Diba, Dan Demba, Demba, Yoba, Juba, Jeba, Tekba, Chim, Gindin, Legbrai Shubha, Rigbrai Shubha, Tangbrai Shubha, Timbrai Shubha, Talmurai Jave, Visum. Chanja Visu, Jirwai, Sanam Jebalji, Shin Yun Yong So, Jungwai, Jimbe, Nisun. Jimbe Nisun Jirwai Chimbo Sanje Jodoin Sonje Jonaim Lai Janjo Bardoin Danien Japsu Dage Jinso Jibe Sanam Jen Tolai Benjre Sanje Dobrai Shoi Sanje Jodoin Soje Jonam Lai Janjo Bardoin Danien Japsu Dage Jinso Jibe Sanam Jen Tolai Benjre Sanje Dobrai Shoi Sanje Jodoin Soje Jonam Changjo Bardoin Danien Japsu Jen Dage Jinso Jibe Sanam Dolai Benjre Sanjen Dobrai Shoi Simjen Damjen Dewan Dan Dewen Judain Dembrain Dungen Dan Dungen Gen Judain Davrain Jujen Dungen Meben Dewan Damban Dan Mindrawan Niren Chadain Nidain Dawen Danyum Jembolan Nebrain Juroin Je Simjen Damjen Dewan Dan Dewen Judain Dembrain Jujen Dungan Dan Dungel Gen Judain Dawain Jujen Dungen Meben Dewan Damban Dan Mindrawan Ponyum Chembo Lan Nebrain Juroin Je Simjan Damjen Dewan Dan Dewen Judain Dembrain Jujen Dungen Dan Dungel Gen Judain Dawain Dungen Meben Dewan Damban Dan Mindrawan Jujen Yeren Chadain Nidam Tanyam Chenpo Lai Nebra Inje Chazo Wadan Chujin Shaban Dan Jizo Yiran Kushin So Yewa Jungse Da Gen Jizaban Tamjen Zobe Jangjo Jeng Sa Shi Bichi Jukshe Medo Dam Rab Lingshen Yide Jemba Sanje Shindo Midem Powain, Dragan Namda Shin Lan Jubrai Shoy, Simje Namje Sambandan Loyen Jeda Jeda, Chujon Timoen Tewayin, Chujon Koloy Gorondo Zo.
Good afternoon. I hope all of you are well. I also greet all the viewers as well. So, we are here once again in this lovely continent, yes, Jambudvipa. Known as, in some ways, if the long ago population, popular sayings, if I'm interpreting them right, is that mankind, or humankind, manush, or those who think, philosophers, I don't know, yeah. So, it's the great noble end of that. And so that's where we are here. So now we can think, we can contemplate, we can meditate, we can... Too close? Too close, okay. Okay. So, the right kind. That's an overestimation. But nevertheless, a wonderful setting. And so therefore, even though we may be enjoying the air conditioning, and feel somehow all right, but nevertheless, I must say, it is a lovely weather, It's not too warm, not too cold, just right. We are not coughing as much, And there is something about daylight, catching daylight, yeah. Once the sun sets, it means whether we have the luxury of having artificial light or AI, the simplest form. The meaning of sunset is to say we must rest, And so therefore, if we abide by that, then we will have enough cooling time, cooling period. And as a result, we will enjoy catching the sunrise. And so we won't cough as much. So, we were at the 12th verse, yes, yesterday? Somewhat, yes. Oh, where were we? 11, okay, yes. No, there is no organization here. Huh? Chat stream? What? Huh? Chat? Okay, we can check the streaming. Okay. Anyway, we are somewhere there, and so I will just try to go through. Yes, so child or children, So if we follow their way, misguided compassion, then what happens is not only we will not save those who are drowning, but at the same time we will drown ourselves. And it's a sorry state. But of course, it's not to say that that is the end, the finale. Well, for example, when we ask, what is Mahamudra, we don't quite know what we are asking sometimes, And in some ways, it's almost kind of saying, we want a finale, because we heard too much about fruition aspect, too much. And so therefore, we don't know what we are asking. We have become almost robotic, at the extreme end of artificial intelligence, And so therefore, what is the end game, Thanos. So, no, of course, what we really want, if you really meditate, or if you are meditating, then we will realize that we want what may sound quite clumsy is that we want something fresh all the time. We want to have something that is one of the last questions yesterday, alive. We want something ongoing, And so therefore, fresh. So therefore, if we follow with this, in this analogy of child, meaning inexperienced, what will happen to us is that it will not be fresh. It will be constantly repeating the same old story, repackaging it, and try to sell that as much as possible, And then it's not so much to say as to saying, we put up with it, But instead, it's like saying, no point. Yeah, there is no point. And so therefore, from the 12th verse, it's saying, if you follow this old system, it's nothing about old guard, new guard idea. But at the same time, if we cling onto the past, not that it's evil in any way, not that it's to use words like stale and withering or something like that, yes. But to mean it in the most beautiful way one can put, by saying children or childlike. So as long as we tag along, drogna means tag along, then what will happen is then the 8 worldly dhammas will rise. That we will constantly seek for praise, and at the same time we will constantly try to destroy what is always refreshing, criticism, And so therefore we will basically become like our surrounding. And so therefore, Khorwar Gave Tamla So Mige Chijang Yapranjong, the last 2 verses of the 12th, basically saying we will find all sorts of ways, to legitimize why we need to hang on to the past. And so therefore, constantly we will create all sorts of chatters. Tam, Lasso means all kinds of chatters, all kinds of rumination, all kinds of ideas. And through that, then basically we are not letting go of the past. And as a result, then migewa, jijang yepranjong, means that migewa, not that it's evil, but basically one that doesn't bring joy, one that doesn't bring freshness, one that will always consume us, make us feel stuck, basically. Yeah. If we hang on too much to the past, we will feel stuck, yes, and we will not be able to move forward if our life is a linear one. So Megachijang Ngeparajong, Ngepara means that it's inevitable. It's certain. We will give birth to it by saying Jong, Ngeparan Jong. That we will give birth to it. And so, Tedar Tatang Jendempa, in the 13th verse, Tine Pongwan Jurasi, Dijan Dadam Majala, Dajan Tedam Minjuruwe, means that we will just get mixed up. Yeah. That I will not be there for them as I wanted, Yet at the same time, the feeling will be there as if they are also not for me. And so therefore we will alienate ourselves further and further, and to a point where animosities will grow. And so therefore the idea of good and evil, me and you, would become so strong that påanjur means that påanjur, how to say this? Do you know påanjur? That we will basically abandon, we'll instigate, probably that's the right word. We will instigate each other and not think as one. And therefore, for now, as beginners, in the 14th verse, it says, so therefore, keep distance. It's very generalized, saying keep distance or be far away from these so-called children. And so therefore, distance, I always said, not as part of the teaching, of course, just my own interpretation, then keep the right kind of distance if I have to be very particular. But in general it says keep distance, It's saying stay far away in general. But if that's too emotional, then we can say keep the right distance, appropriate distance. If the word right is also sounds too extreme, then keep the appropriate amount of distance. And so therefore, what Einstein said, it's very valid here, that by saying something like, and the third rock from the sun, is very appropriate because it's not too close to the sun, it's not too far away from the sun, and therefore, well, I don't know if he really said it that way, but somehow things happen, or life happens. And so therefore, Jili Tharing Georgia, and so therefore, it sounds like saying escape, but escape to the point where it is appropriate. And then the last two verses says, the last three verses, sorry. And so therefore, this is extremely, these three verses are, I think, very, very essential, I feel. It's saying, it's very poetically put, I don't know, I won't be so bold as to say, what I said just now is validated, But if you like it, you can take it that way. Yeah. And so the meaning is to say that it's inevitable that we will bump into each other, out of nowhere. Passing by the neighborhood or the favorite coffee shop, we will bump into each other, every now and then. And so therefore, at that time, should one feel awkward now, What should we say? What should we do? Did I think through in terms of what I wore this morning, in front of my ex, Do I look appropriate? Do I look, I'm over it, Yeah. And because we cannot plan for that, yes. And so therefore, what is the right way to manage that, or deal with it, or work with it? And so therefore, flexibility probably comes to mind, I suppose. But as part of the previous chapters, being mindful that somehow this will always be the case, or this might be the case. It's inevitable, yeah. And so therefore, should that moment arise, because we cannot plan for it, we just cannot, yeah. If we have to, then we have to think till the end of time. And we will miss out on all sorts of beauties, all sorts of wonderful things, simple things, enjoying a wonderful sunrise, sunsets, whatnot. And so therefore, should that moment rise, then what to do, And so therefore, first of all, remember that we are beginners, There is no shame about it. There is no, it is not a case where we have to be embarrassed that I'm a beginner, No. Or we say accepting karma, and so this is it. We want to talk so much, we want to question so much about karma, Here it is. So therefore, should those conditions arise, because I don't know whether to say individual or collective karma or general karma, because it's the same neighborhood, it's the same coffee shop, or tea house. That was more common, I think, in these parts of the world. Whereas the coffee shop, or Tibetans we say tsikja, means basically burnt tea, I believe there was once a famous monk back in Rumtek who said, "What's this fuss about burnt tea? I can do it." So then he roasted tea further, and then said, "Here today I'm serving roasted or burnt tea." He thought that's coffee. So it's inevitable, because no matter how large the world is, no matter how small the world is, it doesn't matter as long as we are experiencing a similar pattern, probably, rather than saying same condition, similar pattern. It's kind of inevitable, at some point we will bump. And so therefore, now how do I treat this this experience? And so therefore, just say, hey, hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, And so that conversation between Gandalf the Grey and Bilbo Baggins is very interesting, yes? When they greeted each other with good morning, And so like that, we can we don't have to become too philosophical, you know. There is a right time and a right place to be philosophical. Yet at the same time, there is a certain place where we can be very practical. Yeah. And so therefore just greet, be cordial, be diplomatic in this case, you know, and say hi, hello, nice to meet you, how are you, you know. Exchange pleasantries about the weather. and it'll be fine. Yet ndichen means no point. It's not saying don't, you know, please don't, pleading by saying please don't become too acquainted. That's not the point. Shantideva is not saying that. He's basically saying no point, because he went through that, you know. He himself went through that, through and through. And so therefore, somehow, according to his personal experience, there is no point. Yeah. And so therefore, tamal pacham lekpacha, you know, meaning keep it very ordinary, you know, diplomatic, cordial. Not to say, you know, keep it. Now, of course, we can say we have words like keep it casual, you know. But then sometimes we can demonize terms like keep it casual and diplomatic, but not in that sense. And instead, which comes in the next verse, the 15th, says, just as a bee would only take if there is an essence, you know, then it will only extract that. And because through each acquaintances, you know, because right now we have, our case is that we have, it's like saying we have put the setting of our lens, the zooming, the microscopic level in this case, too close, you know. And so therefore we can only see from that range and not further. And so therefore that's our whole world. And the world of beyond that microscopic level or telescopic level, we haven't considered. And so therefore we think this is it, you know. And so as a result, then it's very difficult for us to make sense. Means that somehow we cannot make sense of it. Of course, the literal sense is something like something just to extract what is Buddha Dharmic, you know, that is being put very plainly. Yes. It's difficult, and so therefore, should we have the calmness? Should we have this unique poise? You know, even if I cannot see beyond my eyes, meaning that this is my current status. I can at least theoretically try to comprehend. And in this case, try to comprehend by thinking through then I can, meaning being able to zoom in, zoom out, even if I cannot literally, because my faculties are such, you know, I'm just limited to this, you know. Yet we are thinking being, unlike the gods, or the extreme end, unlike animals or others, where their setting is fixed in such a way that they can only see or view things from an extreme angle. Here, I can think through, you know. So therefore, I will use it. And so therefore, first of all, pleasantry, you know, being casual, being cordial. You never know where we will find quality. Yes, we don't know. Even through those short encounters, maybe it might make us think about impermanence. Maybe it will make us think about, my goodness, it's been this many years that I didn't see you. And yet, at the same time, I feel like it was just yesterday. How time flies, you know. And so therefore, maybe we may be able to extract something like that. So simple, you know, yet so profound. So if we can, just like a bee would, because the bee will not become stubborn and fixated, thinking there has to be honey, there has to be, I don't know if it's fructose or glucose, I don't know. So, you know, instead it will have the common sense that, okay, there is a nectar, and it will take it and then fly away, without a doubt. And so likewise, we should extract, if there is something to extract. Why? Because we are meditating. We are supposed to be somehow aware. And so therefore, as if we haven't seen each other for so long, which is true, you know, it's not a hallucination. And realize that this is so fresh, you know. In the past, I used to think that I knew you, you know. And that's how I grew up, thinking it is like that there is a fixed pattern and that's it, you know. But now, after this many years of growing wisdom line or lines, aka wrinkles, that somehow I can see that, yes, I haven't noticed your wisdom, you know, or I haven't noticed my wisdom. And so therefore, it's all about being so honest, you know, very, very honest, and accepting change, which is karma. Therefore, then accepting the fact that time-wise, yes, long, but if we remove that time concept, it is as good as seeing for the first time, actually. Even if I met someone yesterday, you know, it could be, I don't know, a friend, a sibling, someone just yesterday or an hour ago. If you meet again, if we have equipoise, or we are not too far from it, from its residual effect, you know, then it's possible that we may be able to actually see that that much has changed, Yet at the same time, don't feel personal, Is it me? Is it you? Is it us? Is it them? No. I feel, how to say, wow, what a change, And therefore, be able to accept that fact. And so, and so therefore, been there, done that. In the past, I had a blast. By going through that universe of thinking, I know you. Yet now I have arrived somewhere, not to feel, oh, now I'm superior than you or anything like that, and to feel proud, but to just very genuinely accepting, then I accept that fact. And so therefore now there is no point. Njipa mebraja means that there is no point to mingle anymore. It's because there is no meaning for me, there is no meaning for you. It's not going to benefit either of us. And so therefore, no point in mingling anymore. And so like that, then from the 16th verse, then we delve further into the 8th worldly dharmas. If you're curious about what are those 8, go look up in a dictionary. Because I don't remember them. But what is very apparently said here is, it says discovery. If we are a discoverer, finder, finders, keepers, And so therefore, if you think that being a pioneer, finding and discovering so many things, when we do, it seems to somehow, if we, well, not necessarily from an aspect or pattern, but somehow the mood of my surrounding, my society changes, that I happen to be the first one to discover something. Oil. Black gold, I don't know. And so therefore I will be respected, Loved, maybe not. Maybe feared, And so therefore, Tendi Nyemban Changjuna means it's the third line. If we believe in that, if we cling to that, then it is certain that we will have all kinds of pollutions. Not just in this life, but in the next. If he would like to entertain that idea of there is a tomorrow. Today would be ruined as well as tomorrow will be also equally ruined and further. We will give birth to such fears. And so, the 17th verse says, if you further fall into this trap of thinking, I will be loved, respected, feared because of my power, position, fortune, power, fortune, fame, as I used to say, then we will become basically we will be basically ignoring. Yeah. We feel that there is a big uproar, a lot of busyness, and business is booming, My fame is booming, my fortune is booming, and as a result, we will neglect, ignore the real underlying nature of how a phenomena booms, out of nowhere actually. And if you fall into that kind of pattern, mong bi yi means that kind of pattern, then as a sort of aftermath or the effect of it is that then we will continuously, whatever we desire, whatever we think is it, it'll turn into nothing but a source of more frustration, or dukkha. Yeah. And it's not just increased by just 1% regularly, But because we neglected and ignored today, by tomorrow is 2 times, by day after is 3 times. And likewise, by the stronger the faith we have in that action, in that act of ignoring, it'll multiply, not just into 1 into 2, but 1 into 100, times 100, times 1,000, and so on. And before we know it, it'll be too much. And like I said yesterday, at some point it's too much, so therefore we will feel like we will want to, there is no choice but to self-destruct. Therefore, then the 18th verse says, those who are wise, those who are experienced, don't fall into those traps, or don't fall into the net of desire, thinking that this is it, because they know that through that fixation, then fear will arise. Fear will inevitably, generate more and more. What do we really want to? What would we really like? Yes, if you ask, as a general question, it will be none other than, I want to be fearless. Jig me in Tibetan term, or mi pam, It means I want to be fearless, and it's being very, very honest. Yet at the same time, we don't know how to be, and so therefore there is a reason, there is meaning. Not reason in terms of logic, but there is meaning, there is an essence, there is a point to follow the ways of the wise. By abandoning, if that sounds too extreme, right distance, we're not trying to destroy them. Destroy the idea of desire, ambition, Not it can never be vanquished, but if you keep the right distance, then it's all right. Because as long as we have some form of either cause or condition of fear, then, however, sorry, yeah, I think you see it's another way, the last two verses. And the wise will abandon this kind of pattern, and therefore they will find stability, and that's what they realize. Not just, epiphany or something, out of nowhere, but direct experience, complete experience. And so therefore then from the 19th verse it says, Nye patane manjonshin, Jada nyemba chonjuja, nye dan tabe tsujide, kandon dombe tomet. And so all these sort of findings or discoveries, yes, it seems that it feels like there's a benefit to discover something. I never knew that I could turn this into business. And I never knew that through this I will get fame. And through this I will hear all sorts of songs about me, And for millennia or centuries, songs about me will continue, It's funny, isn't it? When we, at the beginning, it's all about survival and being as efficient as possible. When we come near the end, the so-called end, in terms of age, frailty, and so on, then we begin to, that's what we call the misguided sort of idea of being wise. That we think, okay, now how will I be remembered, how will I be known for? And the action will slowly change from that youthful quality. It will diminish out of fear, that I realize that I cannot survive now, I thought I could, but I tried everything, medication, hygiene, proper sleep, proper this, proper that. Now I have come to a point where I can no longer, it's that feeling like as if finally Dharma got to me, Buddha Dharma got to me. And it's a very strange, mixed up feeling, On some sense I feel like now I know Dharma, Yet at the same time I haven't abandoned, I haven't let go. Rather than abandonment, probably let go is a better word in this case. I haven't let go of that actual fear, and so therefore I begin to, because the investigators are coming, the investigators are catching up to me, yes. And so therefore now how will I be remembered? How do I want to be known? And so therefore what seemed like a fearless repetition, reputation that I had when I was youthful, They said, well, that fella used to be amazing, How come now suddenly has become a chicken? And so therefore, it's just an expression, of course. Chickens are very proud, very fearless. Okay, I went quite far, I realized. Coming back, down to earth, yes. And so therefore, yes. And so therefore, hearing beautiful things about me, yes, fame, that's where we were. And so therefore, yeah, I will just go on a little bit further in that aspect. And so therefore, there is no point, that's what Shantideva is saying at the end. Monuments, all forms of immortalization, may be erected, pyramids, and this and that, just so that my name will live on, my legacy will live on, and so forth. Yeah. And so therefore, along with all of that, let's say, for a second, that's what Shantideva is saying. My discovery, my action, my reputation, my fame, my fortune, let's say that they will not diminish. Will I be able to take it with me, Not just to my grave, but let's say there is a tomorrow. Will I be able to take this with me to tomorrow? Then I think, or what Shantideva is saying or implying is that neither the spiritual seekers nor the, day-to-day good Joe, would agree in this case that you can take it with you, We just cannot. Yeah. It's just not reasonable, it's not meaningful, it's not logical. Even the most practical people who are not bothering about spirituality, even they will be able to agree that no, you cannot. You have to leave it behind. And so therefore, it's impossible. Tolmed, don't be tolmed. You cannot go together with it. It's impossible. Yes. Then, furthermore, from the 20th verse, it says, Dala meba jiyuna tebe dagra chishiyu. Dala teba jiyuna mebe megar chishiyu. Semje meba nazuba jewe jana meguna dandrangembe mechiku. I read both the 20th and the 21st. And so therefore, from that perspective, if fame doesn't belong to me, that's the thing. Because when we say, when I become a pioneer, when I become a discoverer of this and that, the illusion is there as if I found it, I was the one. Yet at the same time, if we think through with the art of dhyana, then we discover that actually it doesn't belong to me. It may be a very, very emotional thing to go through. To break down. Break down means like to put it into components, in that sense, not break down. But if he put it into different segments, which they appear like with greater samadhi, then we will discover that the so-called respect, the so-called fear, love, cherishment, all this, metaphorically speaking, it belongs to the others, not me. They agreed that I'm famous. They agreed that I'm powerful. They agreed that I'm reputable or I have a good reputation. And so therefore, then from the wise one's perspective, then one can see that. And so therefore, one is no more bothered by criticism nor by praise, because it belongs to them. It doesn't belong to me. What I do, not in a depressing way by saying it doesn't matter, I don't matter, not in that depressing sense, but being very, very clear, being very, very sort of truthful and genuine and sincere, you will be able to see that it's just an agreement, If they can agree that I'm it, anytime they can agree that I'm not it, So why do I bother? If they can make me, they can sort of unmake me, sort of thing. And so why should I bother? And so therefore there is no point. And with the 21st verse, the 4 lines basically saying, now Shantideva is not saying, believe me, the sleeping one, the eating one, and the one who goes to the toilet, don't believe me. If you feel, I get your point, but what if, And so in this case it's saying, if you feel that the Tathagatas, the victorious ones, if you, because what they say, what they interpret, what they show, this we can all agree, no matter what, that what they do, did, English-wise, yes. Otherwise, what they do and what they say, we cannot find a noun, a verb, a sentence, a structure, a paragraph, a volume where you feel that it was for them, and it changes so fast also. It's not like saying for the next 5-year plan or 10-year plan or the 30-year plan or the century plan, But day to day it changes, from minute to minute it changes. And so therefore, that even the victorious ones, the enlightened ones, the truly experienced ones, it's basically being very honest. They couldn't cope up with it, It's too much. Let's say that they had the greatest brain, they just couldn't keep up with it. In terms of, they could not, the second line says, Gyave kyane minguna, mingu, me as in negation, gu as in satisfied, or something like that. Not even the Tathagatas could please them, satisfy them. The mood and the feeling and the expectations they have, the society has. Even they couldn't please it, And so therefore, now in here, once again, by the third line, then Shantideva is being humble but not to seem humble, of course, and not as to. It's not meant to put us down by saying we as ordinary, but being very honest that we as beginners, how can we? Because we are that inexperienced. Because even the experienced ones could not please them, then how can we? And so therefore, by the fourth line says, Thaye jikten sambatang. And so therefore, it's only appropriate to let go of tang means let go. It's only appropriate to let go sampatang. Sampa means the thought, the idea, the dream, the aspiration of pleasing the ever-changing pattern of the local community or local pattern, jikten, loka. Therefore, it's only appropriate, it's only natural to let go. Not that we must, we have to, it's a mission, but it's only natural to let go. So, we have reached till the 22nd verse. Have any questions? Yeah. There's a question here. Right here in front, yes. No, here, first, in the pink shirt, gentleman.
Thank you for your teachings, Karmapa. A few times over the last few days, you've said it's not personal.
Yes.
These teachings, it's been a relief to hear as someone who takes many things personally. But I'm a person. I would like to hear you expound a little bit further how we should pivot our minds so that we don't take so much of this personally. Sometimes I feel Shantideva is very much unlike what I could ever be.
Right, right. Oh, okay. That was the question. Okay. Yes. We can all agree just by going through his literature that we can feel a little bit too impressed by what he's saying. Yes. And therefore, it is possible that we can feel wonderful, thank you, but I cannot do this. It's possible. Yeah. It's too far. We are, what is the way of saying? We are worlds apart. But I don't know. If it makes sense. We would like to think that we are living in the most advanced society, yes, and the most advanced era. But Shantideva was how many years ago? 1300, yes. And you can just only imagine what kind of society it was, Yes, archaeologically one can describe how advanced they were. Social structure, economic, everything was pristine, The more and more we dig up, the more and more proofs we find, yes, how advanced the civilization of the great Bharat was, actually. But nevertheless, if you compare to what kind of information technology we have to be able to globalize, everything, and to have almost everything at the click of a finger, then we can feel a little bit, if not confident or proud, we can feel somewhat, we are more liberated in some ways, Yet, in his time, no matter how advanced the living conditions were, social structures were, he could see the structure, the general underlying structure, the theme of life, And so therefore, it's actually very humbling in a way that and both inspiring for us, I think, that if he could, why can't I? In this case, it's not about competition, There comes a line later on about how to make own the idea of competition, in a very healthy way, like sports, So in a similar way, we can use it, if not at least to appreciate and inspire us that if he could do it, I can do it. Because I have far more information, I have far more luxury, I have far more time, space, health. And so therefore, actually I can probably do better, if you are not being too proud, One of the inspiring things about our lineage, it says, I forgot whether it was Naropa or someone else who said that, Lama Wejang Yanglop Zang, which is a Tibetan way of saying, means that if the teacher or the master is experienced or knowledgeable, that there is the auspicious connection that the student or the children or the descendant will be even greater, And so in that sense we can take immense pride, comfort, confidence, that I can do better, But the first and foremost it is that I can do it. If he could do it. Because life was, although there was development, there was a great many advanced medicine, health, economy, everything. At the same time, there were great turmoils and tensions, challenges that we face nowadays, because each society is living, as I said earlier, living under one level of magnification, nothing more. It's very it's too rigid for them to zoom in and zoom out. It's very difficult. Only when there is a competition or an opposition, that's when they sort of redirect, but they don't zoom in and zoom out, They just redirect. And then back and forth, And so therefore, as a result, a simple problem becomes a big problem, and they become consumed by that. We are in a way where we can zoom in and zoom out, not just shuffle the focus, And so actually, if we try, actually we can do amazing, yes. And so therefore, but the way to do it is what Shantideva is saying. Not to be too modest and humble, say, no, I cannot do it, you do, please. I'm so small, I'm so this and tiny and this and that. At the same time, not saying, I'm it, but being very genuine and truthful that, yes, I know my limits, that just came to my mind, one animation during the 90s or something. I don't remember the title of the animation, but there was it was about the Robinsons or something, I don't know. And then there was a T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus, and then the boss of it was saying, catch that or grab that person, grab that boy, And then he was trying, but he was stuck because T-Rex have very short hands, yes. And then he was telling the master, I cannot do it because I'm genetically disposed, And so therefore, that stuck with me. I thought, that's another interesting point, And so therefore, we have to, not that we have to, but it's, if you wish to become or to follow the pattern or the footsteps of Shantideva or the ways of the Bodhisattvas, then the only way is to accept our limitation first and foremost. And so there's no shame in accepting that we are a beginner, And from there, we can do wonders, Yeah. Yes, there was one at the back.
When you sleep, when your mind needs a rest, what about your dreams? And even do you even have nightmares? And what for dreams exist?
Right. That's kind of out of the blue, but I forget which text it was, or maybe it was Shantideva's chapter of the first chapter, maybe, or maybe it was the third chapter, if I'm correct. It says that sleep, of course, there's a lot of debate about what is sleep, is there sleep? And if there is sleep, or the state of sleeping, then what happens, this and that, Do we dream furthermore? Branches out, yes? Creates more and more patterns, And then is there good sleep, bad sleep, good dreams, bad dreams, nightmares? Do they signify something? All that, yes. That's a whole other universe to go through. Yeah. Fascinating, really. And we can get stuck there for an eternity. Yeah. Yet at the same time, we can only sleep for so long. We can dream for so long. Actually, we don't really dream much, actually. We only dream just after falling asleep, before we enter into the whole zombie state. Totally unconscious, So it's just a fine line. Just as our body became tired, could not take it anymore, or was overdosed, And so therefore there's a fine line between there and before becoming unconscious almost, yes. And after that it's just the body doing its own thing. The mind is completely sort of numb. So there is numbness, yes. So it's only in that period and just before we wake up, I mean, this is my theory. You don't have to quote me in the academic thesis, but this is my theory, yes. So just before we wake up, once again, the body is basically hungry. It's thirsty. And so therefore it's saying, mangiare. Yes. And so therefore then habit sort of it's ignited, and then habits, whatever habits we generally have, and then whatever habits we had during the past day or two, or whatever experiences we had, or whatever we were doing and thinking and talking about, verbalizing outwardly or inwardly before our sleep, those come back, yes. And so therefore our mind is sort of trying to sort of restart, sort of like starting an engine, So therefore we're just playing with our residual sort of way of working with our habitual pattern. It's just that at that time what we say, the faculties, the 5 faculties are a little bit dimmed, and so therefore the mind has a slight space, if there is a mind, is that it has a tiny little moment, basically a few seconds actually. It's not hours. We feel like I dreamt for hours. In fact, I felt like I dreamt for a whole lifetime, And I went through this, I went through that, and I cried, I laughed, and so on. But in fact, it's just few seconds. But those few seconds are not bound by, in this case, bound by time. Yes? And so therefore, it's not just extending a few seconds into minutes and hours. It's just a whole other universe, because it's completely sort of, not completely, but somewhat detached from the 5 senses. And so, but starting to make the connections, the neurons are firing, yes? And so therefore, it's a fine line. So during that time, all kinds of strange impressions come, yes? And so sometimes some of them are overwhelming, and so therefore we feel it's too much to take. And then the habitual patterns kick in by saying we have, the habit is saying, this is good, this is bad, this is risky, And then those zigzag, and then as a result, when the mind experiences something overwhelming, then we immediately judge, judging habits take place. And therefore we think that's a monster, that's a, this and that. So it's like that. Not here, not there. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Dear Karmapa, I have a question. Maybe I'm a beginner, so
Okay.
it's kind of technical question.
Okay.
I really appreciate you for empowerment for White Tara,
Yeah.
because you open like a new way to meditate. It's like when you zoom in and zoom out and open your imagination, it's really interesting. The meditation became really interesting. And the question is, like, what is the most important, like to focus on Nandra, or just to feel your heart and do White Tara? Because, time is really limited. I wish it will be more time in life, but even for Nandra, we have to find this tiny time. So what is more important? follow Nyandras or do White Tara and Nyandra, or just feel what you feel inside? Please share. Thank you.
It's an individual question, of course, but to a certain degree, maybe it's a general feeling also among ourselves. And so therefore, I hope I can answer everything appropriately. We just don't quite know what is the right way. That's being as honest as possible. We don't know. Yeah. We cannot recognize and understand others. That's what's coming in the next verses. I'm sure you must have read also, many times. And so therefore, that's kind of an indirect implication. And then there are some direct implications that says, you don't even know yourself, or I don't even know myself, And so therefore I don't know what is good for me, what is bad for me, or what is the right thing to do, and what is less right for me. And so it's very difficult to say, yes. All I can say is, in your case, yes, it's trying to sort of basically, when we are here right now, in this setting, in this session, the few hours, the few days we have, because after this course, I don't know where you will be, yes, and how life will dramatically change, or how it will continue to be more or less the same. It's impossible to say. And so therefore, while you're here, at least you have now dedicated yourself to be here, yes. And so therefore, it's only logical that you make the most of this occasion, yeah. So yes, the practice of Tara that we did 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, and we will have the conclusion of the Chenrezig practice, and in between we have this wonderful literature that we are all reading together. And so this is it, yes. There's nothing more, nothing less. Yeah. And in between you're receiving lots of wonderful also insights from our assembly of teachers or experts, masters. And so this is it, And so this is as practical as we can be and as pragmatic as we can be. Afterwards, we don't know. Yeah. We make the wish, we aspire, we pray that we will find such occasions more and continue, In this case, it will be a meritorious way. Yeah. It's not like saying, I wish for more power, more fortune, more fame, out of personal agenda, which is demeritorious. Yes, but in this case, it is not to say allowed, but it's sensible to wish that I could have more conditions. Yes. And so therefore, if or should, which is a very strange way of saying, the conditions rise, then all the more reason to continue and try our best, to learn further. Because I've said in the past, and I've received this advice from my teachers, and what they said was that these practices, these teachings, whether they are formal or informal, that these are our best friends. There's nothing else. Particularly when it comes to the Bodhisattva way of, or Bodhisattva way of life. That the so-called friends we have, family we have, yes, and society we have, peers we have, all kinds of companies we have. It's got to say they're in a similar state. Probably that's a good way to say, as I am. They're in a similar state as I am. Meaning they are both confused, they don't know where they are, they don't know themselves. And so how can we expect anything from them? It's not that they don't want to, or or something else. They are equally lost as us. Yes. And so therefore there is every reason for us to see such, even if it's just a literature, that if you spend enough time with them, a relationship with it, then we will discover, just like my teachers said, we will discover that actually I have finally found a true friend, one that will never fail me. Yeah. If I think I'm here, then this friend will never fail me in any way. And it will always stay true, honest, sweet, kind, and everything we wish for. And through it, then we will be able to see all other friends, I'm just now summarizing most of the points. That through this, then I'll be able to look at now my family, my friends, my society, as a source of inspiration, that I feel that I wish they knew what I knew. I wish they could see what I can see, Even though you may feel like a mute, who cannot express, but it will force you, Give sign languages, and do everything possible to say, here is something interesting. I have found a really good friend. I wish you will find friends like these. Yes? Then it's nice. Okay, so through those two questions, we kind of covered quite a bit, I hope. Yes? Or you have particular questions? Along, okay, at the back. The gentleman in the Hawaiian shirt.
I thought I'd bring you flowers, at least in this way. So to get to the point what you just said, I sometimes wish practice would be more fun than because right now, sitting here with all of you, my motivation is again really great. But in just a couple of days after I'm back home or a couple of weeks later, my bed will be so comfortable and all those excuses so very convincing again. So how could I have genuinely fun with practice so I actually keep doing it, not just performing something?
It's, I think, the Bodhisattva's way of saying is that the source of inspiration lies right in front of us. Yeah. Nowhere else. We don't have to look anywhere else for that inspiration. And that is none other than what we say, society in general, then peers, friends, family, or whichever order we like, And so they are the source. Because if you look at them or view them, observe them, not in the way that we used to till now, but in a very fresh way. Like we all always feel that I wish I had a fresh vision, I wish I could think in a new way. Yes, this is it. It doesn't get any more fresh than this, So in that sense, from that perspective, if you view it, where was I? View it, yes. And then there's nothing like it. Yeah. Because our purpose is not to revere or pay respect, homage to the practice, and make it more fun, make it more enjoyable, It's the formal practice or guidance or expertise is it's a lens, It's a fresh lens, And so through that, I will focus on the same thing, my world or our world, the same world, no other alien world or something, But now, this time round, I will be able to see something very different, like a poet, For the first time, we will become great writers, great singers, great musicians, in short, great artists. Provided that, of course, they're original, and that makes our life, basic. There's something called the Yang Dalpian Soa in aspect of the eight branches of Palami Yalaji. The Palami Yalaji, Injikalakango. Eight Noble Path, that's it, Eight Noble Path. Yeah. And so therefore there's one that says the Samyak Soal, Yantabin Soal, Sanskrit. But I just know the first part. Yang Tagpa in Tibetan means Samyak. Yeah. In English it always says right lifestyle or way of living. And I heard through many teachers that the term right is a little bit extreme. Yeah. It's then what about the left way of of living, and so now samyak means something like appropriate, decent, meaningful. Yes, in English we have to describe it like that, coherent, complete. Probably complete is quite complete, and coherent probably is more. Yeah. So that way of living, so means that, you see, once again, we are dealing with what is in front of us. We know, we accept that I'm here, I have a body, and so it needs physical nourishment because it feels, it looks, it is agreed by society. On my own, I can see it's physical. On my own, I can see it's tangible. It needs nourishment. And what I think and feel, it's agreed by the rest, the so-called the society. Yes? And so therefore, I need to nourish it. I need to clothe it. I need to have a shelter. And I must make this part of activity sustainable, but not, extreme, by having, 10 shelters, or 10 breakfasts. I can only eat one portion of breakfast. Yes. And so, like that, becoming a poet, becoming an artist, yet at the same time, if we are skillful, we could turn that into, I don't know, sustaining myself, yes, sustaining my body, sustaining my being, my conditioned state. Then there's nothing like it, yes. It's not excessive, yet at the same time it's sustaining, and I can continue to make it, as you said, fun. The practice doesn't need fun. It's perfect or it's clear on its own. It doesn't demand credit, respect, reverence, nor does it judge or punish, nothing at all. It's just a tool, nothing else. It's just a lens. And so, what we felt like was fun or is fun till now, maybe just the tip of the iceberg. We don't know what real fun is, And so with this help of this lens, who knows, maybe there is something greater than just the tip. And so therefore, then it's meaningful, then it's ecological, or healthy, if you would like to put. So therefore, just you don't have to have this fear that I brought a foreign entity, into my happy, nice life. But now this is like an in-law, I have to prove to everyone that, please, like this lens, No, it's not like that. And instead, you can just know that I have a new way of viewing, In fact, there's nothing foreign about it. It's just a metaphor. Instead, through this, however much comfortable, nice I felt so far, I can see further. And in fact, I can enjoy further. Okay. So then we still have around 10 minutes, I think. And so therefore I will try to go through a few more verses. 22nd, right? 22nd, yeah. And so therefore it says, Semje nyepa melam he nyepa chala mininje rashin droka teta ke gawachita chevanjur. So, yes, the last line of the 21st says, therefore abandon the local or the samsaric thoughts, let go. Yes. Why? Because the nature of it is that if you think that, if you still further think that discovery is it, no matter what, I lost a little bit of reputation, I lost a little bit of fame and my place in the society, but if I can, I don't know, reinvent myself, then who knows, maybe I will get the mood going. And so therefore, in this case it says, Semje nyepa melam he. So and therefore, The fact is that either way you fail, you know. And so therefore, for example, if you keep making mistakes, you know, in terms of your discovery, in terms of your wealth, of course I said discovery, but another way of interpreting that is wealth, power, fortune, fame. This only belongs to the human condition, yes. To animals, it's much simpler. Something similar may be there, but it's much simpler. Yes. How many pebbles you can collect, how many straws you can collect, how ferocious you can be, how big you can look. So yes, it is there, but not as complicated as ours. You know? Whereas the gods, they are all supreme leaders of their own, you know. And so therefore, there is no point, you know. It just doesn't make sense. It's like you have your own villas, you have your own mansions, you know, and so therefore you just cannot bother at all about what others have. It's just you're there. Whereas in our condition, then there is rise and fall, or yes, completion, dissolving, all those contrasts. And so therefore, when we are going through that period of losing health, losing youth, losing wealth, then everybody will criticize, you know. Or that, I don't know, one slang Tibetan term that comes to mind is sotkam, you know. It means lack of merit, yes, or dried of merit. And so therefore, you know, the criticism will just pour in like nothing else. And then you feel, oh my goodness, now this is what's happening, you know, and it's all due to my doing. And somehow you forget, as Shantideva explained a few verses ago, that it's all up to that agreement, you know. They all agreed, you know. Not that they genuinely agreed, but they just commonly agreed because you are seen as the common enemy or something, you know, or the common sort of black sheep or something. And so therefore, then it's very easy for them to somehow criticize, you know. And this is in no way saying you are the victim and they are the perpetrator, is it? I don't know, yeah? Or victimizer, I don't know. Not in that sense. It's just since we can only understand a meaning through contrast, then Shantideva is playing with that contrast in a very skillful way. So therefore, then naturally it feels that now I must live, I must survive, and on top of it I must thrive, you know. I must make a point, I must show that I'm happening, I'm going, I'm successful, I look good, and all that. And so, if you go into that direction, will they be pleased? No, they will not be pleased. Instead, then they will once again feel jealous of that success, and then criticism will still flow. And so therefore, they are by nature impossible to tag along with, to mingle with, And so therefore, how can I ever please them? And so therefore, it's a further reason to somehow let go. And then the 13th verse, Kancha jiba randone mebra gawa menjongwe jiba ngaya shimeshi dijin shekpa namjiso. And so yes, and so therefore now that so-called other side, yes, or the assembly or council of children or inexperienced ones, all they are concerned about is none other than to say what they have been educated or how they grew up. It's the same pattern, you know. If you want to reverse a pattern, it starts from me. It starts from here. It starts from now, yes. This wheel, the cycle has been going on, and if I allow it, it will continue to circle for an eternity, basically. We can never judge and say, at some point the battery will run out, you know. No, it will keep feeding each other, you know, and that's how an agreement takes place, yes. Because they are all inexperienced, and so they will feed off each other, because that's how they grew up, and that's how they educated each other from birth, you know. And as a result, that's the only thing they know. And that is as good as their religion, that is as good as their medicine, that is as good as their, way of life. And so therefore, all they can think about, of course it says here something like rangden, means all about themselves, or all for their purpose. And so therefore there is no room for any, well, as the previous question, basically there's no room for fun, yeah, in short. Because fun happens when you know that it's going, it's finishing, it's depleting. And you made yourself aware before, and you are going along with it. And when an actual end is coming near, you are not frightened by that. Yet at the same time, you can engage in that. You may cry, you may laugh, you may, be, in this case, you may behave in a certain way, let's say. But nevertheless, you know that it's transient, yes. And so therefore there's a sense of joy, if one can put it that way. And so therefore, that's the fact, whereas these inexperienced ones are said to be not friends by the Tathagatas, yes. And therefore, don't fool yourself by thinking that, oh, I have bodhicitta, I have made a promise to save them. And so therefore, it's part of the purification that I have to suffer for them, you know. I have to give my limbs, because that's what the previous Bodhisattvas did. Now I get a chance to do the same thing, you know. And so if you do that, then we are misguiding ourselves. And so therefore, it makes sense to follow the ways of the Tathagatas. And so now from here onwards, then now, having explained in a sort of a general way of how to say, what are the focus, what are the targets, or in general it is known as what are the faults, yes, of samsara, or what are the faults in this particular case of meditation. But that's a very general term, which is classic, But to be more appropriate, it's saying these are the targets, That's a better way to put it. And so it's not about there's another target, There's another focus or aim or goal. This is the goal, And so, therefore, then now, if you focus on this goal, if you realize this goal, then it will force you to feel, what can I do, now? What is there anything I can do? Or are we supposed to just stand here and let all these tragedies, take place and do nothing? And so it says, no. In fact, if you realize that, then you will appreciate I didn't really want to say this, but the simple pleasures of life or something. But that's being too cheesy. But it's talking about not to become an introvert, not to promote escapism, or not to run away, but so to speak, for the beginners, meaning mentally run away, not physically. We have to. If you have the conditions, run away for now. Yes. But mentally first, yes. First is the mental activity. Yes. But don't worry, later on, Shantideva will keep encouraging us not to feel that we have to suddenly go on a diet, Yeah. So, and then the 24th verse, or 25th, is it? 23rd. There's an error in this Tibetan one, and so it basically begins by saying Nana Rida Janam Danshina Menyen Jumenjin Dona Devata Namchi Lenchi Danenjur. So now in terms of aspiration. So therefore, now this will naturally, if you focus on those, a natural aspiration will come. It's not saying, Shantideva, you should now wish like this, and teach you how to pray, teach you how to wish. No. He's letting you, or letting us think through. And as we think through, as genuinely as possible, as intimately as possible, yet not taking it too personal, then a natural occurrence will take place, which is then aspirations. And then the aspiration will come initially in a somewhat not so, not that properly. First, the symptoms would be, I want to run away. I want to escape. And we will misuse terms like liberation, moksha, and so on, and try to escape, Or escape from not wanting to become like my father, not wanting to become like my mother, not wanting to become like my brother or sister or this or my friend or this or that. And that's an extreme. But if you really think through, then it's possible that without thinking too extreme, we will find a natural liking towards, the right, well, I said it there, the samyak way of living. So, therefore it says, in the forest, or jungle, or in isolation, in no man's land, then we will feel that animals, and now I wish I was a poet where I could describe the beauty of being in a forest, But most of you come from places where you have great spaces, yes. So therefore, you can recall those experiences. Whereas over here, we are too populated, so therefore, it's a bit difficult to think, yes. Basically, it's a metaphor, of course, that the animals, the trees, the breezes, the natural sunrise and sunset, without having an alarm clock, all of these natural occurrences, are they challenging? Yes. If you paint it that way, if you talk about how difficult it is to survive in a jungle, in snow, in this kind of isolation, what to do, what is the DIY, and what are the survival kits, there are all sorts of interesting and, to a degree, wonderful things, yes. But in the context and in contrast to this busyness, yes, this is something I forgot to discuss, which is there as a general theme. I don't know how I missed that out. One says physical disturbances or busyness, and then mental busyness, And so therefore, it's a different setting. And so in here, then we will hear a lot of animals making sounds. We can, of course, fall back to Sir David Attenborough of what they are thinking, what they are doing, and get go into a whole universe, But let's pause him for a moment. And then what we will get is basically music, actually. Yeah. Because we cannot stay away from noise, Total silence disturbs us, yes? And so we don't have to worry. There will be noises, noise of wind, weather, season, animals, animate sounds, inanimate sounds, all kinds. But nevertheless, since we don't understand them, not because we are illiterate, not in that sense, but we don't understand them in terms of we don't try to make sense of them, And we treat them as they actually are, just sounds and noises and patterns of sounds and noises. And therefore, there is something wonderful about it, magical about it, because unlike ourselves, where we have to worry about why did someone say good morning, and how long was the tone of good morning, or how short was it, how snappy was it? Was it a question? Was it a statement? Was it because I said something yesterday? And it just goes on. It's infinite. And so in here, no, we will never hear such disturbances. Or it says minye jomeche, and so therefore there's nothing unpleasant about it or ugly about it. And then, if we live among this kind of setting, practically speaking, it's genuine, it's honest. It says dewa. Dewa means sukha, means sweet, it's nice, it's good. But that may be a little bit too much for us to digest, But at least we can say it's honest. This much we can understand, we can relate, yes. It's honest, A ferocious tiger comes out of nowhere and eats us, But there is no politics involved, you know. They were just hungry, you know. Oops. You just happen to be the breakfast, yes. And so therefore it's easy to go along with them, you know, because there is no politics at all. Yes. And so therefore it's sukha, so okay, that's a bit... And so therefore, if you want to wish for I don't know, a vihara, you know, a temple, a church, or any spiritual sort of space, setting, that is it, you know. For me, another one, if I dare say, was probably some of you might have seen this show. There was a show called The Two Greedy Italians. It was a food documentary show of Italy. And there are two sort of characters, Antonio Carluccio and Gennaro Contaldo. Yes. There is no music in my pronunciation, for that I'm sorry. But nevertheless, Antonio, or the late Antonio, was known as the king of mushrooms, because he really knows about mushrooms, in short. And then it was a homage to him, I think, in the last season, where he's in a forest, he's by himself, and then he talks about the beauty of mushrooms, you know, that he said basically they are the creators of life, you know. And then he said this particular forest, it was a beautiful setting, and then he said, this is my cathedral. And then he takes up a fistful of, I don't know, dried leaves and others, and throws in the air and says, "Viva la natura." I found it so beautiful. It made me cry, actually, yeah, because it was honest. And so therefore, a wish, you know, an aspiration will come, that when you see the truth like that, then it is said that you will feel like this is my vihara, you know. That's why now, if you want to promote the yogis, you know, then in this sense, you know, not because they look extravagant and they are a joker or something, but those who see that kind of truth, such as Shantideva, yes, then they can see that this is the most wonderful vihara, you know, or in Tibetan, Zulakhan or something. Or in this case, we say, in Dhamma way, you have adopted the term Gompa, yes, and which is stemming from the term, Tibetan term Wempa, ne Wempa, means vacant. To be technically correct, it says it has to be from the busyness of a village or a town or a city by some degree, by some distance, you know, where, in short, you cannot hear the noise, yeah, or the noise of humans, you know, the chatter of humans. And that's it. And so therefore, that would become a place where you can think, yes. Writers, artists, you know, anyone, they go into that kind of seclusion, yes. Because then there they can think, you know. Yeah. But we don't have to take this literally, okay? Because then each of us, we feel, okay, now we are living in the midst of a city, and my home is right next to a very loud neighbor. Drilling is going on endlessly, which is said to be a part of progress, but endless progress. And then my center, my monastery is right in the middle of a city, you know. And so therefore, of course, we can kill our mood, you know. So we don't have to think literally, but it's just, if you take a moment and try to understand what Shantideva is saying, it's meaningful, you know. And therefore it says in the next verse, Fukam lakang tongbaam, junshin tongdo nejide, namshi jabdo medajin, chapa mepan joshiku. And so then, furthermore, then as I said, if there happens to be a natural cave or a place of ruins, you know, in this case it says lakang, but that's probably rare. It's all taken up by World Heritage Centers. So no more. The last place is Bodh Gaya. There's nowhere else. And so therefore, in ruins, you know, it's later on it'll come. It'll talk about hospitals. It'll talk about, well, not really hospitals. It'll talk about cremation sites, cemeteries, you know, real viharas, you know. And so therefore, or where there are trees, you know, and where we can lean on. And so when we are in that kind of place, then we will feel, you know, basically he's talking about, you see, he's really being very intimate with us, intimate with our natural feeling, you know, that if you really focus on these patterns of emotion, patterns of greed, patterns of jealousy, and all that, then we will naturally feel that I wish, as I said, to begin with, since we are beginners, we will feel the idea of I want to escape, you know. And then we feel, if you are not, if you don't have good friends, you know, or good spiritual friends, there is a danger that we can feel that this is it, this is the way, you know. Not that I'm discrediting the Mandalorian show, but nevertheless, you know, I should use the term "this is the way" in a more optimistic way. Yes. So anyway, nevertheless, if we have good friends, then it is possible that we will not get stuck on our way to liberation, but instead begin to appreciate that, okay, I have these aspirations. I suddenly feel that when I have time, when I have space, doesn't matter whether I'm in a bus, or on a bus ride, or on a train, or on a plane, or I'm stuck somewhere waiting for the bus, you know. That in fact, this is not a moment to feel agitated actually and feel restless, but instead it's a gift, you know. In this case, this is my vihara. And so therefore, then utilize that moment, you know, and to feel that I have found it. I have, in this case, discovered. It's a gift. And so therefore use those moments, even though they may be momentarily, you know. Even if we could live in a cave, it'll be momentary, you know, at the end of the day. At some point, either the cave will collapse, we will become sandwiched, there were cases, there were some cases where they avoided becoming sandwiches. And so therefore, but either way, they are all inevitably temporary. But nevertheless, should we find such conditions, it will be, we will make it useful, we will make it meaningful. And so therefore, namshi yabdo medashin chapame parchushi gu, which means that gu, as in sort of, it's a wish, it's a very genuine wish, that to say, I just won't look back, I will just move forward, and I will let go. It's not saying I will discard, I will leave you, I will leave the lot of you, not in that sense, but to say I let go, I, just let go of that knot, and I will just not look back. Namshi jabtu medashi means I will just not look back, and without any form of entanglement or attachment, I will let go. So then today we stop here. It's the 25th or 26th according to, anyway, in the English you can see. So then now I think it is time for the Chenrezig meditation. And so therefore it will be good if you can focus on to the meditation of Chenrezig by well, I don't know, complementing this last verse, okay, we're in the most busiest nation, where in its capital, immensely populated, and then in the midst of all this busyness, now we have this space, yes. We don't know why we bought our tickets to come here, We could have been on a nice holiday or spend time with our family, But nevertheless, we are stuck here, Dadgummit. And so therefore now, rather than just being bored and solve word puzzles, Sudoku, is it? I don't know how to play it. I don't like that game. It's too much stress. Anyway, so instead we will just make the most of it, and in fact apply what Shantideva was saying. This is meant to be a vihara. This is meant to be a place of peace, tranquility. I shouldn't have said those words. But basically some form of isolation, to be more honest, but in the best possible sense. And so therefore, we will, whatever time we have in terms of formally, right now, we will be focusing on the practice of Chenrezig. And after the formality, the formal practice, we will go to, we will visit the washrooms, we will go for dinner, we will have interesting conversations or moments of silence, that we would like to turn all of this into something meaningful, Basically meaningful meaning we would like to do this from a perspective that I want to do something new. We all like new, fresh. fresh vegetables, fresh fruit. We love that, yes. Fresh air. Nicely dried clothes from the dryer, yes. And the smell, the comfort, yes. You just want to hug that, And so, and I just say, we basically, we don't acknowledge, basically, but we like something that is fresh, yeah. But we don't know what it is, And so therefore, if we can tell ourselves that it's not necessarily a holy day, holy days, to be here. Or maybe it is holy day, We commonly say holiday, 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 but it's coming from the term holy day, yes. Who knows? Maybe this is holy, because it's spiritual in an honest sense, because material, spiritual, yes. So we are being honest in a sense, that spiritual, and then going further in. Who is the most holiest of all, or the most spiritual of all? Me, So I'm working on me, yes. And so therefore, in that sense, if we right now formally meditate, after meditation, and then before we go to bed, before we dream, before we have nightmares, yes, we can have fun, we can enjoy, yes. So this is my wish. So let's now meditate formally.
terengo enjembe lai mai lai jendo so wain dembe gom jen lam Mung ke rai chen je loi Yang men goim je ngui je song ba xin Kai shen toim be ngo soi man de Man jun den garai joim ben goim jen lai Goim jai loin dain da warai jen ge loi Nain doi ngoi oin chen groi soim bai xin Jian yai mai yin jian yai chara wa la mai rom barai cha wen gom jian la Koron de ye men dong barai jian je lo Jiawai gun doi yan dai lai man dang Ten min chu ge bai lai long Laim je yan den ran zoi ne Dron jen chan gen goen wa nyon doi shoi san jen chen dan zon jen chon nam la chan joen baran doen dan nien jab soin chi Dan gen gom den jen ben so nam gen do lai ben jre san jen do brai shoi san jen chen dan son gen cho nam la chan jo baran do dan nien chap so chi da ge Jimbe sunam jin do lai ben jre san jin do brai shoi san jin chen dan son jin cho nam lai chan jo baran do dan nien jab zoi ji dai ge gom den jebe sunam ji Do lai ben je san jen do brai shoi da zoi kan chai sim jen ge chen zoi be garai da ven dem rel pan chun jen re zen kara sara ve zre nga den do Zizon to jen 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 cha jen dang bon tal jren zi on yin shen ten ben grai nan taran dai rin jen jen ge de re da ba ben de yo zo ba men be o jen jen Shan din jen gel dong shu Timen da warai jam dem ba Jam nian gun dung oi join join jen ge ma ge gun do gar Zo san je jin do lai se chere se lai cha za loi choi jin ge ma ge kon do gar zo san je ge o lai jin Dorje jin do lai se jere se la cha loi choi jin ge ma gen kon do gar zo san je ge o lai jin Dorje jin Chere se lai cha loi pa pa chere se wan dan chun chun de sho ba yi Gyalwa se jen tam je lai kun ne dan wen cha zai lo Mendo endo be mai mente shazero moela zoemba Manjo igen to nembo empa ben zonge shizu Tomai menen dan dem barai migen judan tamenga Semne nemo wanjuru ben digban tamje shabranje Nyende ranjay janjo sim so je o la so dizum Chizay be sonam lanen daira Simje namge samban dan loyen jedai jedrawa Chejon temon tegwayin cheje koroloy korodoiso Korowai jise mandon barai nyangye mendai toje Dungai jazo simjen nam lai si so Dage so naim jisaim bain tam jen jan join jun join Ring bro mendo do wai tembe baldo da join jen te drain se jen son daim ben pa ben kul vezren tu Manda le noin tu shen jain chen de wai jen ge shin Han ju jen de lu nga sim chen re se wai go sum Nan da re do yer men ju Mane be ho 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 mane be Mane be me mane be